Hey everybody, welcome to A Pop of Culture. I'm your host, Esoteric and Facetious, and I just wanted to talk about this most recent episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I needed to talk about this situation with Kandi Burruss, and Mama Joyce. So if you haven't been watching the latest season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, there has been this issue between Kandi's husband, Todd Tucker, and her mother, Mama Joyce. And this all hit ahead in this episode because during BravoCon, Mama Joyce was asked a question about Todd Tucker. She was asked, can you say 3 good things about Todd? And she wasn't really nice. She didn't have a lot of nice things to say about him. She said something like he's short. She just made it clear, even though Todd has supported Kandi and helped her to build the brand that she has for herself. Now, of course, Kandi had shit going on before Todd, but he has contributed to her success. But Mama Joyce tried to make it out that he ain't shit. He ain't doing nothing. He ain't really nothing to brag about. And Kandi and him, they just celebrated their anniversary. They're hitting certain milestones. They're doing their own thing. So I just felt a way about that. I'm gonna say it. I feel like some of the elders get away with disrespect and just being toxic. And of course, like even me saying that, I'm gonna say I don't know the full story. I don't know these people. I'm just watching a TV show. But clearly, Mama Joyce wants Kandi to be happy. She wants her to be with a man who's supportive. But it's just like she can't see when it's clear as day. And like I said, I don't know these people. But it seems from outside looking in, Todd is supporting Kandi. He's doing what a man's supposed to do for his wife. But it's just like it seems Mama Joyce, no matter what, she feels he isn't good enough for her. And it's just like, what does this man have to do? I wanted to have this conversation because I feel like the elders, and I saw this on SWV versus Escape with Mama Gloria, where no matter what Tamika said, it's like she just like, I feel like certain elders, they get to a point where they just can't receive feedback for some of their behaviors, where it's like you're clearly hurting your daughter. Your daughter wants you as the grandmother to support her husband. And it's just like, what did he do for her to dislike him on the level that she does? My question with this whole situation is like, what does Todd have to do to be good enough for you? Because I guess for me, one of the struggles I have is I feel like with Mama Joyce, it feels like she wanted somebody to come to Kandi with all their shit together, with all their ducks in a row. And it's like, even with Kandi's grown. She said that they were together for 9 years. They were celebrating 9 years together. And it's like in those 9 years, she's grown. She's become that boss where everyone's looking at her like Kandi is doing the thing. People 9 years ago weren't saying the same things that they're saying now. Through her marriage and through her relationship with Todd, she's went to another level. But it's like Mama Joyce can't see that Todd played into that. And I guess for me, my struggle is I feel like with people, we're all on our journey. We're all working towards bettering ourselves, going towards our goals. And it seems like with Mama Joyce, it's like because Todd didn't have all his ducks in a row on day one, it feels like she just will never see it for him. And it's just like Kandi herself is the queen of reinventing herself, rebranding, always finding a hustle. She was in Escape. Things went to the left. After that 3rd album, things weren't doing what they needed to do. So she and Tiny, they were working on stuff. And of course, one of those songs became No Scrubs. So it's just weird to me that it seems Mama Joyce expects Todd to have had all of his shit together on day one, when it's like Kandi's had to reinvent and figure different things out. People know Kandi from so many different things and so many different hustles and so many different ventures. So it's weird to me that it seems Mama Joyce wanted him to have all of his shit together on day one. And I think this goes into that conversation of builder men versus men who already have their shit together. And it seems there's some women where they're willing to go with the man who has dreams and ambitions and goals, who may not have everything all the way together. They're willing to fight. They're willing to support. They're willing to go through those hard times because they see a man with a vision and they're willing to help him execute that vision. And they are somebody who they will reap the benefits of being that person who was there during those hard times. They may struggle with the man for a little bit, but they believe in that vision. Women who get with quote unquote builder men may struggle, but if that man's dream or vision actually comes to fruition, they get to benefit from holding him down. One thing I'll add though is you can pursue an ambition. You can be a quote unquote builder man, but also have an income. Like I do think that if you're somebody who's with a builder man or a builder person, you may have to take some sacrifices, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to carry this person and take on their adult responsibilities that they would need to do regardless of whether they're in a relationship or not. Of course, not everybody is going to be down for that. So if you're not somebody who is comfortable with that, comfortable with building in that way, you may just want to get with somebody who already has their stuff together, especially if you've already got your stuff together. We have women who may have already invested in their education. They may have already got their shit together and they may not want to have to sit down and struggle. I was actually having a conversation with a friend about, I believe it was Tyler Perry's Acrimony. I haven't seen the movie. I definitely want to see the movie, but he was saying how Taraji's character, she did try to stand by him. From what my friend said, he had a skill, he being the partner of Taraji P. Henson in the movie, and he just needed time to make it so that his art and his designs would be profitable. He just needed things to come together in the right way. So she was trying to support him, but there was this challenge of they need the bills paid now, but he's trying to make things happen, but things aren't happening in the time
time that they need them to.
It just took too long and she just couldn't wait any longer. I think because there was a situation where there was a house or something. He lost the house, and he also was saying how she had somebody in her ear where she was saying, oh, you don't need him. Oh, he's trash. Oh, he's this, that, and the third. But basically what my friend told me from the movie is he said eventually she just kicked him out. I'm done with you. I'm over you. She publicly humiliated him. So he goes on his merry way and he meets with the woman who's willing to work with him and willing to build with him. She saw it for him. And then when it finally came through for him, she was one who got the benefits. And then it was like Taraji felt some type of way, but it was like, it seems like she wanted to build with him, but she wasn't really willing to fully endure those hard times. And I get with the house. And like I said, I haven't fully seen the movie, but it was just like, sis, you let go. You chose to let go. So I think there's a conversation, and maybe Mama Joyce, the way she was raised, the way she was brought up, you got to have your shit in order. You got to have your shit in line. But it seems like with Kandi, it seems Kandi was willing to build with him. Kandi was willing. And I think maybe that's Kandi's spirit. And since she's had to figure things out, she knows it may not be what it is today, but tomorrow I can turn it into something. Like she said, I can turn a shade tree into a money tree. So I think with Kandi, she has a different vibe. And maybe it was Mama Joyce's upbringing, what she went through in her past. That's why she can't see it for Todd. But it's just, for me, I really agree with Kandi when it comes to the conversation of you have grandchildren. The younger grandchildren, like those little kids, they probably not on the blog. They don't know none of this. Even though I think Todd said A saw it somehow, but I guess it's like her older granddaughter. People see that. That makes things hard because it's just like, how am I supposed to call you on the phone when you talking bad about my stepdad? It's just like, that creates division in the family. It's my thing with it is, what could he do? It feels like there's nothing Todd could do. It's like, he seems like he's trying to be respectful, but it's like, how are you supposed to show respect to someone who doesn't show respect to you? And that's the problem with the elders. Some of the elders, they just expect respect from you, but then they don't want to give it. It's like, that was disrespect. And even if it was a joke, even if it was a kiki at the Bravo land, like that's disrespect. And like when you're called out on it by your daughter, for you to just kind of write it off as, oh, I was asked a question, this, that, and the third. I feel like this is going to reach a point where Kandi may have to make a decision, and I hope that they're able to work it out. But it's just, sometimes people have to draw a line in the sand of, you're not going to see my kids and kiki and hang out with my kids and whatever, but then you sitting here bashing him. Because even to like, that was where I really was not feeling Mama Joyce when she was called out by Kandi, because Mama Joyce was talking about some, oh, well, he needs to see early on, like a man need to do this and a man need to do that and this, that, and the third. And it's just like, he's working, he's grinding, he's hustling. And it's like, because he may have not been like that on day one,
You forever want to be shady and throw shots.
and honestly, I think it's an ego thing. Like, and let's talk about it. I think some of the elders, especially in the Black community, and like I said, I don't know this woman, I'm not going to shade respect to the elders, but I do feel like there may be an ego thing, because I remember her saying something like, when he first came to me, he was humble and he was a nice man, but now he's trying to be like a George Jefferson. And so it feels like maybe with Todd having some success under his belt, and with him and Kandi having their thing going on, and they, you know, doing the thing, and they're being successful and they're being recognized for it, it's like him taking a little bit of pride in it. Like I said, I don't know these people, but when she said that, it's kind of like those people where you can be proud of what you're doing, you can be proud of your success, but don't be too proud of it. And I brought this up in an old story time where I remember I got a good score on like tests in the AB class. This was in high school. And I remember somebody saying, you don't have to brag about it, because she didn't get a good score on her test. See, now all I did was say I was happy I got a good score on this test. But you, because you're pressed, because you had a bad grade, you're trying to make it out that I'm bragging, I'm being braggadocious. And it's like, no, you were upset that you didn't, so you're trying to dull my shine. And I feel like with Mama Joyce, she was okay with it when he was new into the relationship and he was trying to look good for her. I feel like she liked the power dynamic of, oh, he's trying to make me like him, he's trying to impress me. But now that he's more secure in his place in the world, and he's secure in, I know I treat my women right, I know I treat my wife well, I know what I'm doing, now that he doesn't necessarily need her approval and validation as much, it seems like she's not as happy. She's realized her opinion, like, it don't matter as much to him because he's with Kandi already. It's weird to me, him having pride in himself in his accomplishments. She doesn't like it. It's like a catch-22. It's like, so you were trying to read him when he didn't have stuff going on, but now that he does have stuff going on and he's kind of walking with a pep in his step, it feels like you can't take. So that's my thing about it. It's just like, so when he ain't doing stuff, it's a problem, but when he is doing stuff, it's a problem. I was even thinking about that too. I'm like, what man would you have wanted for Kandi? It feels like it would have been a man who just is quote unquote the perfect man on paper, but it's like the perfect man on paper who may have the job and the degree and the salary already in here and now may not always be the person who is going to support. That's one of the struggles I have, and this is a big conversation I see in the Black community with successful Black women, because we'll always see people dissing Black men who date really successful Black women, unless it's a Jay-Z Beyonce type of thing where they're massively successful in their own right.
One of the things I've seen that I find so funny with the conversation of hypergamy is there's all these tutorials for women, especially Black women, to date hypergamously and to date up and to date men who are making a lot of money. But one of the things I find so interesting with that conversation is when it comes to Black men who end up dating Black women men who have a lot of money, they're dragged and they're called bums. So it's like a woman can live off of a man and she can be a kept woman living a soft life. But if a man gets with a woman, even if he's working and helping her to build that wealth, even if he's fulfilling her emotional needs, it's a problem. One of the things I want to clarify is I'm not against Black women being hypergamous or aspiring to live in luxury or to live a quote unquote soft life. I just am not somebody who likes people dragging men for getting with successful women while aspiring to be stay-at-home girlfriends and aspiring to be with a man who can give them an allowance where they can buy whatever they want whenever they want.
Because I hear this with DDG and Halle Bailey, and let's kiki on it. I'm like, let's go there, because I've heard people constantly dragging DDG and saying DDG ain't doing enough. Halle, she's a Disney girl now. He is beneath her and all this other shit. And I'm like, honestly, like I wanted to talk about this before, but I'm like, let's go there. I saw Chloe and Halle in concert recently. Just saw Little Mermaid, so I F's with the Bailey sisters. I hope they have all the success in their career. But here's my thing. One of the issues I have with this whole conversation of, oh, DDG ain't good enough for Halle is this like, first of all, like I remember seeing his Spotify numbers. Like I'm like, DDG, he didn't have all these, like no shade. DDG didn't have like a Beyonce brand pushing him. The numbers and success he's had, and Chloe and Halle are successful in their own right, but it's just like what he's been able to do, not only on YouTube, what he's been able to do for his family. And I'm not even someone who watches him. My sister watches him, and through hearing stuff from her and seeing his Spotify analytics, it's like this is someone who was a YouTuber who's been able to transform not only his life, but people in his circle, his family. Like he's been able to plug so many people in. And it's like y'all, when I say y'all see like the Black community, it feels like you gotta look a certain way, walk a certain way, have a certain amount of social capital for people to think you're quote unquote good enough for certain affluent Black women. One thing I'll say is some people only came for DDG after that whole t-shirt thing with his ex where it was giving questionable. Some people did give him a chance, but I do think some people were reading him from day one off of their judgment. This is an additional snippet to the video. I kind of was going there, but I'm finally gonna go there and say it. I feel like people think that DDG is ghetto. They think he's a hood rat. They think he's a hood booger. And I feel like he doesn't align with the aesthetic that they have built for Halle as this person who has the potential to be this big singer and actress, overall entertainer who has this certain image. And I feel like that's what people aren't saying. So I'm gonna say the quiet part out loud. It seems a lot of people, they feel DDG is not worthy of her because he doesn't fit this certain aesthetic. They feel a man that would fit with the career that people envision her having, they feel like they don't align. And I wanted to bring that up just because I feel like people, they won't say that out loud. They'll imply it. And it's like a lot of these people are on Shea Butter Twitter. So they're people who will claim to be pro social justice, pro Black people, etc., etc. But then there's that classism and elitism and, oh, they don't fit together, but why don't they fit together? It's like, let's have that conversation. I hate to be that person to say we're the first to tear up our own, to go after our own, but I feel like that's what it's giving, because it's just like when I look at Todd Tucker, when I look at DDG, and I'm not saying that I know all the ins and outs of them, but I'm saying I see people who are doing their thing, who are having success, and it's like people, like when we try to match Black women up, all we look at is perceived social status. So it's like people probably would only want to put Halle Bailey with an A-list Black male around her age, even though how many Black men are around her age doing, like, I guess in music, but I feel like with music, you can be someone who has platinum plaques, but still not have that social capital. My thing is, it's like, there's a short list of Black men who are around Halle's age who are doing it really big, who are like really blowing up. It seems like with Black male actors, there's a gap. Like a lot of Black male actors seem to blow up in their late 20s to 30s. So my point is, we are so quick to knock men and push down their accomplishments in the name of saying that they're not worthy of a Black woman. I always question, who is this Black man that you want these Black women to be with? Whether it be Candy, whether it be Keke Palmer, whether it be Nicki Minaj, whether it be Rihanna. I don't think for a man to be worthy of a woman, he has to make more money than her. Because first of all, it's like, how many people are making more money than Rihanna? And it's also like, too, we have to consider compatibility. Are they meeting their emotional needs? But it's like, all we care about, like I said, is status, perceived social status, where they have to be someone we know. Let's also say they have to be conventionally attractive and fit a certain, because she loved bringing up that Todd is short. So it's just like all these standards and all these rules and all these regulations of what a Black man has to be. I'm just tired. Like, oh my gosh, all these conversations. And it's like, if this Black woman is happy, because we love saying that every relationship is different. We love saying that until it's somebody who's famous, and then we love to pick it apart. Mama Joyce, I just am a little tired of the elders, because we'll have the elders on the shows, but I feel like we never really get to see the elders being held accountable or challenged, because I feel a lot of the elders are set in their ways. And even though, like, I have mixed feelings on Miss Iyanla as she's coming back into the scene with certain things, but I kind of wish we had more of that that like red table talk, 𝘎𝙪𝙗𝙨 type of stuff in the culture where we can have these conversations. Because I'm just like, Miss Mama Joyce, like I feel like she hurt somebody's feelings, and for her to invalidate Candy's feelings about it, it's like you want access to Candy and the children, but you don't want to, like, what does this man have to do? It's like, I feel like Todd could have the most amazing year, the most amazing success, and she still wouldn't see it. And it's like, what I think Mama Joyce don't see is if you keep pushing somebody, eventually Todd's gonna stop fighting. Eventually Candy may, and I hope she don't have to pick between the two of them, and I hope she love them. And but it's like Candy may have to start loving you from a distance, because it's like back in the day people would take it and just be like, oh well, that's my mama, that's my grandmama, but it's like people move on from that. So it's like, even if like in her saying like, oh, like Todd's never there to talk to me, it's like, what's he gonna say to you when it's negativity? So I hope in the culture we call people out, and I just want to know your thoughts on this, because especially with the DDG and Halle situation, I think a lot of people, especially regular working Black people who are working a regular daily job, and just people in general, you don't have to be Black, but I think a lot of people, they don't understand, like we can't even understand the mind of the 1% of these celebrities. Rihanna has enough money where she, like, that stuff don't impress her the way it may impress a person who's working every day. Like if you were a person who's a working or middle class person, if you get with the guy who's making a certain amount of money who can treat you and you can be a stay-at-home girlfriend, like that impresses you, but that does not impress Nicki. That doesn't move Rihanna. Like the money they make, they are in a different world, so their priorities are going to be different. Like even too with a lot of people, Kiki and Tia and Corey, they haven't really went a lot into their divorce, but it's like a lot of people of course are assuming, oh, of course Corey wasn't shit, and oh, she was just a successful Black woman and he couldn't take, and he was a bum, and da. And it's like, I don't know, I just wonder why we prescribe all these narratives. But that's just what I had to say on this Real Housewives situation and just the culture in general. I'm just over this Black men ain't never enough. And it's like people will push that Black men ain't ever enough type of trope, but then it's like, then they'll gag if they see misogyny. And I'm not justifying misogyny or misogynoir, but it's like, I feel like you can't constantly keep bashing a group of people or bashing people and then gag if there's resentment or anger towards Black women. This is a delicate topic, so I'm going to try to choose my words wisely. But one of the things I'll say is, I see people who will ask, how did Kevin Samuels get 1 million subscribers? How is the manosphere growing and growing and growing? And well, I do think some of that's just men being misogynistic, men having unhealthy attachments and building resentment because of like emotional immaturity or not having like male role models in their life. I do think at some point we have to look at it and say, is there something that's happening in the community that's causing for men to seek out these types of messages and this type of delivery and these types of talking points? And it's not to say that Black women have to change how they act or change how they feel, but I do think there's a conversation in saying people like Kevin Samuels rose to prominence for a reason, and is there something in the culture we can do to try to mitigate these conflicts and these rifts between Black men and Black women? He rose to prominence for a reason, so I do think there is a conversation, and is the niggas ain't shit conversation contributing to the manosphere? Are these things linked? And I don't think that anger should be put toward Black women in general, because you shouldn't be resenting or having anger or animosity towards people you've never met or like a group of people in general. But it's like, we popularize these messages of regularly saying that Black men aren't shit if we don't know them. That was my thing too, because people were pulling up DDG's numbers and people acting like, oh, because I don't know him, he's not successful. And it's like, no shade, but is the Shea Butter Twitter demographic that's streaming Chloe and Halle the same people who are going to be streaming or listening to DDG or watching his video? So it's just like, we are so ready to bash one person in the name of uplifting somebody. But like I said, with that situation, he didn't even have a Beyonce. So let me know your thoughts on Todd Tucker, on just the whole conversation in general. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Like this video if you like this video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the points I made in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, definitely like, comment, subscribe, and share. That way, even if YouTube isn't pushing my content, those who resonate with it are sharing it so it can connect with others who would enjoy it. Those are some easy, free ways to support a pop of culture. If you want to support the show financially, feel free to send a tip to my Cash App or buy me a cup of coffee, both are linked below. All who donate will be featured in the credits of my long-form commentary and cover videos. There are 2 playlists that are going to pop up, one where you can binge watch my covers and one where you can binge watch my commentary. Enjoy. Bye-bye.